It's a 10 out of 10.
All right. Calm down. Everybody, calm down. Right. Yeah. Just hold on for a minute, will ya?
Oh my God, I'm gonna meet Brad. Yeah, I gotta say, oh my God, it's an honor to be on the same chat as Brad. It's
John Lennon.
John Lennon.
Can you hear me out there, mother? Can you hear me, mother? Nobody remembers that as a catchphrase. That was a bloke. He lived in the same town as me, called Sandy Powell. And he used to have this, he was a vaudeville type bloke. And his party trick was his arms would get longer when he was singing a song. You know, it was really, you had to see it. But, anyway, he's been dead for years. Can you hear me, mother? That was the catchphrase. Oh, look at that. Clint Eastwood, thank you very much. Was that Clark Kent? Clark Eastman. Yeah. Now, listen, I can't mess about talking to you because I've got... Can you hear me all right, though? Hello! Well fit to be. Have you seen the Midas man yet? Anyway, we've got some Kenny Michaels news to get through, first of all. And anyway, I'm going to start off with Kenny Michaels because it's absolutely outrageous. Everybody's very upset about this. Hang on, just a minute. Hey there, just give me a minute. Mavis, come back. I've got to speak to her. Listen to the music for a minute because it's hot gossips today.
Ichiban, it's just great fun. Ichiban, it's just great fun. Ichiban, it's just great fun. Ichiban.
Now, don't you fret, you people. Just remember, in a few minutes, we'll be talking about the terrible scandal the gaslighting, the betrayal of Talkball Talk regulars. It was disgusting. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Oh, I would have invited you lot to meet Wings, but I just didn't think you'd be interested. I have to just receive my coffee, so just give me 5 minutes maximum. I beg of you, because I want to save you wasting an hour and a half watching this crap. Actually, I haven't said a review yet, but I'm steering you in the right direction of where my review is going to go. I shall return very soon.
It's a 10 out of 10.
What's all this for?
I'm filming.
Filming what?
What you want to do with it?
He got a little pretty mouth, ain't he?
What's all this for?
I'm filming. Human what?
Yeah, just altogether pointless.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Yes, I have returned. Now, I couldn't play this one the other day, so I'm going to put it on right today from Broad Street. Yeah, now the thing is, let's see what we've got on the menu today. Because, like I said, top hot gossip, Kenny Michaels' betrayal of the Talk More Talk team. There's a lot of teas there, isn't there? If anybody saw it, it was disgraceful. In fact, the whole show was a fiasco. Do you know what happened? First of all, there's this fucking Jack Black geezer talking about Ringo Starr for a fucking hour, and he kept repeating himself, everything he said. Actually, I like Ringo a lot more than I should do. And I thought, shut up. And this is about Broad Street. What are you talking about fucking Ringo for? And it went on and on and on. And I thought, and listen, first 38 minutes was Kenny Michaels' Book of the Dead and all that shit, all that news. And it just went on for fucking ever. And then this fucking boring fucker, Jack Black, started. And his shit went on for an hour. There was about 40 minutes left in the show. And we finally got Broad Street saying his piece. And then, at the very last minute, they went back to Kenny Michaels' news. And then he dropped it, didn't he? Oh, you lot, I fucking screwed you. What do you think about that? I'm meeting wings. What else was it? Oh, Michael Nolan's fucking 13 favourite Beatle. I thought, oh, shut up. We all know. It's everybody says the same thing, don't they? It's always one of the newer ones at the top. Yeah, I just get sick of it. I am sick of it. He's so behind on the times as well, this sort of stuff. People don't want to hear people's fucking top tens anymore. Anyway, we've got to get on to the... we will be getting on very shortly. Let me get rid of that. Yes, actually, I've got something to say about all that. Now, let's get rid of this. Get rid of this music. Okay, so let's start with the review. Well, first of all, I didn't know it had come out, you see, because I knew that for years it's been sort of stopped and started, just because that is always the sign of a disastrous project when it comes out years after it's sort of been made, or it's taken years to make. A bit like some other films as well, most of them forgotten. So anyway, I need some proper music to discuss this review. Anyway, so listen, I didn't know, but then I see Beatley Tone reviewing it, and I'm thinking, all right, fucking Beatley Tone. I thought, you know what he's going to say, don't you? It's predictable. He's always going to say something oily about the Beatles, isn't he? You know, like, oh, well, they're ever so good, really. It's a wonderful film. And I thought, I ain't fucking listening to you, mate. You ain't no Barry Norman, is he? He ain't no Barry Norman. So, anyway, then I saw Lars Land. And I'll tell you what, listen, Lars Land, she's brilliant. Do you know what? I could never do what she does. And she said she's a recovering alcoholic as well, which was exciting news. Yeah, check out her review. It does go on for far too long, but you know what she's like. She's the ins and outs of a cat's arsehole all the time, that woman, with her Lost project. Yeah, I bet she fancied that big fat fucker that was on Lost. I never watched Lost because it annoyed me too much. That sort of thing does annoy me, especially if middle-class people start talking about it. I hate it even more. Oh, did you see Lost? Yes, I never miss an episode. Buffy the Vampire. Fuck off. Anyway, so, of course, I'll think to myself, well, look, let's see if I can get a copy. So I got a copy today off the Pirate Bay, and I'll give it a watch. So, what did Invisible Ray think of this film then? I'll tell you all the bad things about it. First of all, we've seen all of this stuff before. You know what I mean? You could have written the script yourself and said, oh, I don't like your time, Mr. fucking Martin. Oh, it's been a hard day's night. Oh, I'll tell you what, every fucking cliche in the book was there. Plus, you were very aware that there's no Beatles music there. Oh, but they're doing Please Mr. Postman. It's not a Beatles song, though, is it really? Anyway, yeah, and they kept lip syncing songs, and that Cilla Black was far too good looking. Ringo Starr was far too good looking. John Lennon was fucking teeny weeny, zeeny teeny weeny, pocket size John Lennon. Every time I saw him, I kept laughing, and like Beatley Tone said, you just don't get anything of the real Brian Epstein now. I mean, you know, we know that wasn't what Brian was like. He wasn't a confident person. But what I found annoying was it's supposed to be about Brian Epstein, and it just starts off when he meets the Beatles. Now, Brian was a fucked up person, a screw up, a failure. Now, they could have showed from the moment he was at school and how hard he found things. You know, he was a loser, a total loser. In fact, he was, till the day he died, a loser. But I know you say, oh, that's a contradiction because of the Beatles. Yeah, the Beatles. But he fucked everything up with them. I know you say, oh, yeah, but he got them famous. Yeah, he did. But also lost them a load of money because he was a shit businessman. And he should have known better because he's Jewish. But anyway, look, it was tedious viewing. It was like, you know, it was like all the other ones we've seen. If you want to see something like this, go and watch Birth of the Beatles, because they didn't give you nothing about Brian Epstein, nothing. And all the scenes with the Beatles were dreadful. When they turned up for the Decca audition, first of all, he's outside an empty warehouse. and you're supposed to think they're having an audition in there. It was obviously derelict property. I thought, oh, what we're gonna entertain the tramps in that fucking derelict warehouse, are they? And they turned up in the van. It wasn't a Bedford van. They couldn't even fucking get a Bedford van. Oh, it was awful. And then and all, like I said, all the cliches. It was, and this is Billy J. Kramer. All this name dropping. Oh, Frida, put this in the back for me, will you? Oh, and Pete Best was rubbish. I mean, like I said, the script was really shit. It was so bad. It was awful. It was awful. Snark. Hold on a minute. Yeah, talking of Eddie Izzard, terrible. Totally miscast. Everybody was miscast. Everybody was rubbish, including Epstein. Like I said, you didn't get anything of Brian and why he ended up killing himself, because he was, in the last year of his life, he was not only an annoying pervert on the streets of London at the West End. Jonathan King says about him, says he was always off his nut when he was walking around, and he was always on the crawl as well, probably in the toilets. So, and they didn't say anything about his black servant either. How did he get there? Because that's a bit kinky as well. Bearing in mind, we didn't really have black people in the 60s in England, but that's, you know, if I got myself a black servant, you could call me like a white supremacist, really, in this day and age. You'd say, why have you got a black servant? So I can feel superior. Yeah, it's not me, fellas. It's not me, because I'm not a puffer. Anyway, so this awful shoehorning continued throughout. The lip syncing, Cilla Black, it was awful. And like I said, there was a bit where Ed Sullivan's eating this burger, and it's a historically inaccurate burger. They didn't eat in America. They didn't have burgers that fucking high in them days. No, even the Yanks weren't that greedy back then. Well, they were, but they didn't invent the high burger by that point, did they? I mean, correct me if I could be historically, if anybody knows the history of the burger, but you wouldn't have got nothing like that, I don't think, in them days. Yeah, not telling his story prior to the Beatles. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that would have given you an indication of who Brian Epstein was. Do you know what I mean? Right, so we've already complained about him, haven't we, Kenny Michaels? Did you see the look on their face when he said, oh, by the way, I'm meeting Wings next week. I thought you'd like to be the first to know. What an arsehole. Do you know, I never realised quite how evil that man is. Joseph Stalin springs to mind. Anyway, I said about Tiny John Lennon. It was an awful script. It was cheap. I mean, they couldn't even get the sets right. They're in the cavern, and it looks like, I don't know, it just looks like a fucking pub. And they're in, where else was they? Oh, they're supposed to be All You Need Is Love. Now, that place was chock-a-block full of hangers-on, wasn't it? Where were the hangers-on? Where were they? Hey? They couldn't afford them. Mind you, they could show you that big, funny-looking doll. That's the only thing I remember. And then they did a little bit of the French Le Marset. My wife knows how to say that. The French national anthem, anyway, which incidentally is the best national anthem in the whole wide world. Yeah. But anyway, that's the only good thing the French have ever done, is that national anthem. Anyway, back to the film. Yes. Yeah, so Epstein was miscast, I think. In fact, I think everybody, I told you, didn't I? I said everybody. And like I said, this has taken years, and the result is as expected. And no major channels are interested in it. It was wonderful to see Billy J. Kramer represented for the first time ever, because people are beginning to realise that Billy J. Kramer, desperate old drunk with no money that he is still one of the final British invaders left out there. And I'm very glad to see that his latest song, Jealous Guy, I might play it for you. His latest song, Jealous Guy, has got 79,000 views. Would you believe it? I mean, his last record, it only had something like 300 views. So how did this happen? How did Billy J. Kramer turn things round into the respected elder statesman of British invasion? Who knows? Who knows? If Ken Michaels knows, let us know, please, because you are, Kenny Michaels, you are a friend to the stars as well as a treacherous pig. Yes. So anyway, Ed Sullivan was crap. Didn't look nothing like him. What else? Yeah. And whilst the burger was going on, Brian Epstein was talking to Ed Sullivan, and he was talking while he was eating. Now, Epstein, whether he was dumb or whether he was savvy, which he wasn't savvy at all. He went through the British public school system, which is like a private school, where John Heaton went. Now, can you imagine going up and meeting John Heaton for lunch and John Heaton saying, well, Mr. Sullivan, no, he wouldn't. He'd finish what he's eating and then he'd say, Mr. Sullivan. That's what he'd do. Then he'd take another mouthful and he'd listen to Mr. Blah, 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 because that's how your gentleman does it. They go, fucking, it's not Mr. Mayo. Anyway, what else was the problems? Yes, the talking while eating, I've said that. This segregated, he mentions, they do this really cheap way of going through the years, like with all this fucking stock footage of the Beatles and stuff, and it's awful. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I didn't mean to say it. Now it's all this. Fuck off with all this stuff. We all know it. It's too boring sitting there knowing the story. And I don't think anybody youngster's going to sit there and say, oh, I must watch this story about the Beatles manager. Are they fucking interested? Of course they're not. That's why nobody wants it on mainstream channels, because where's the audience for this? Well, I'll tell you what, I was a very fucking reluctant audience, I can tell you, but I didn't pay shit for it, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so it was an awful script. It was clunky. It was cheap. It was just, and the fake Abbey Road. I mean, it was just a carpet zebra crossing. And it wasn't even Abbey Road. It was just like a normal street or something. I thought, how are they going to... You can't even fucking recreate Abbey Road. You can't even do a bit of green screening and get it on there. Or just use the fucking album cover and Photoshop yourself crossing the road. You know, they could miniaturize you, get you crossing. Do you know what I mean? It was terrible. And they didn't even mention, like I said, you didn't know anything about his early life prior to the Beatles, and you didn't get anything about how bad he had become in his last months, how in the way he felt, how worried he was about losing the contract with the Beatles, because it was about to, who knows what was going to happen. I mean, you know, it fucked the Beatles right up afterwards. It was the beginning of the end, his death, but it doesn't say any of that. It gives you no indication of the matter. Like I said, I know you've got to think, well, who's going to fucking watch it if it's all concentrating on Brian Epstein? You've got to throw loads of Beatles shit in there. Do you know what? I think what happened was they tried to make it a different way, but over these years, they've just had to keep changing the script, which is why you're left with this, like I said, piece of shit. And that's Invisible Ray's review. It is a piece of shit. And Beatley Tone's review is a piece of shit. And that's that, my friends. I'm going. Goodbye.